because I predict these things.
Mike Malott takes on Charles Radtke this Saturday at UFC 315. And I think this is going to be a fun fight. I think both of these guys are very gritty, tough dudes, you know, down to throw down in the octagon. I think this is going to be a very fun, entertaining matchup between these guys. You got Charles Radtke, who's coming off of a really good knockout win over Matthew Semmelsberger in the first round. Was knocked out by Carlos Prates with a knee to the body prior to that, but was having, you know, some decent success. Was pushing Prates against the cage, landed some punches, landed some other decent strikes. Was really going kind of tit for tat for Prates in that fight. Ate a solid left hand before he got kneed in the body. So he's got a decent chin. He's a tough dude. Was landing left hooks left and right against Gilbert Urbina, catching him over and over, finally put him out, and went to a decision with Mike Mathetha, which isn't a great look. Blood Diamond, I don't think he's that good. But Charles Radtke, I mean, he had a good performance. He hurt him. He was out grappling him, and Blood Diamond was just cheating that entire fight. He even got a point taken at one point for, I kicked him like in the groin like at least 3 or 4 times. Was grabbing the fence when we tried to take him down. So fight could have probably been a lot different if he wasn't cheating so much in that one. But I do think Charles Radtke is very good. He's a powerful striker. He's 34 years old, so kind of getting up there in age. 5'9" with 72-inch reach, and he's 10-4 in his career. Kind of on the smaller side compared to Malott. He did used to fight at lightweight, so you could argue lighter man skill. I don't think that's the case in this scenario, and I do think he's going to be a little bit smaller than Mike Malott. He's a thick dude. He's strong, but has a really nasty left hook. Like I said earlier, doesn't really wind it up. Not a lot of setup on it. Just kind of places it perfectly on his opponents, and he'll catch guys coming in with it. Kind of a check left hook as guys come in, and we saw him land that on Urbina twice. Caught Blood Diamond with it a few times, hurting him bad in round 2. Throws it right behind his jab at times as well, so does a really good job of disguising it behind his really snappy jab that he has, and just pressures guys back against the fence and lets the fist fly. Feints really well, gets guys biting on his feints. He'll hide his strikes behind it, floats between stances, and pressures forward really well and very intelligently. He'll cut guys off when they're trying to move, lateral movement, to really kind of pull them into his strikes. So just a really intense guy, down to fight. Like I said, was doing decent against Prates, and just a tough guy. Has a good chin. Like I said, it was taking a lot of strikes from Prates, and eating some good shots from Blood Diamond, and never really seemed to falter or get discouraged from them. So is susceptible to leg kicks. I think that's going to be a big piece in this one. He was getting hurt by some of the kicks from Prates and Blood Diamond in his fights, but has really good takedown defense on paper, 100%, but I'm looking at his record. He's not exactly fighting the savage wrestlers of the UFC, but does have a good takedown defense from what I've seen, yet to be taken down, and will shoot takedowns himself to mix it up. Has a really good knee tap that he hides behind his feints that we saw him have a lot of success with in the UFC, and just mixes it up very well. So, but taking on Mike Malott, I think Mike Malott gets this one done. Mike Malott, he's a southpaw, but he will switch stances. He feints really well, throws with really bad intentions. Big guy, you know, he's 6'1", but he's only going to have a 1-inch reach advantage over Radtke, so he's going to be 4 inches taller, but only have a 1-inch reach advantage. Has kind of tiny legs, but throws really good leg kicks. Really good body kicks. He was hurting Adam Fugit with his body kicks as well, and I think that's going to be a big part of this game. I think he's going to beat up Radtke's legs. And I think he's going to be aiming for the body too, because we've seen Radtke obviously get folded by Prates, and he just seems kind of susceptible to the kicking game in terms of his legs and his body, and that's just something that Mike Malott does very well. His kicks are kind of awkward at times, but they land. And so I think he's going to be the longer guy on the feet. I think he's going to be a little bit more technical. He was looking really good in his fight with Trevin Giles, who's a very high-level boxer, very fast. Was definitely faster in that fight. Bloodied up Malott's nose a little bit, but you know, Malott was getting the better of him in those exchanges, and we've seen Malott be very dangerous on the feet. You know, with Fugit landing those body kicks, he eventually caught him with a left hand and dropped him and got just like a picture-perfect arm and guillotine, because he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu as well. Got an arm triangle choke over Johan Lionessy, had a nasty left hook knockout of Mickey Gall as he was coming in. Mickey Gall was pushing forward against him against the cage, and he catches him with a nasty left-handed and puts him out on his face. And he has good takedowns. You know, was able to take down Magny, had him in mount, was doing a lot of damage on the ground, just kind of gassed himself out in that one. I think that was a good learning experience for him, though. I think his stock maybe dropped a little bit in that one, just getting finished by Neil Magny, which isn't a great look in 2024, but I feel like he learned a lot from that loss, learned to kind of really measure himself and not go all out when he has somebody hurt, because he's used to kind of just getting guys out of there. He went into that fight with, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 finishes. Thought that he was going to get Neil Magny out of there. Couldn't. Kind of blew his lungs out and ended up getting TKO'd. So, and Neil Magny's no slouch. You know, he's a good guy. He's very good. A lot of experience in the UFC. So, I think Malott gets this one done. I do. I think he's just the better overall fighter. I think he has more ways to win. I think he can test Radtke's wrestling. I think he's going to be the bigger guy, the natural welterweight. I think he's going to be a little bit better on the feet. Has more tools on the feet. Radtke's just kind of a puncher. He throws, you know, leg kicks at times, but he's not implementing them enough to be a you know, something that people have to worry about, I guess. Watch him win by head kick in this one, but body kicks, leg kicks, strong punches, shoots for takedowns, has a submission threat, fighting in front of his hometown crowd. I think it's Mike Malott's fight to win. Like I said, just more well-rounded. I think he's going to be able to keep Radtke at bay with his punches, his leg kicks, you know, his striking, and I think he'll be able to land the better strikes, mixing his takedowns to keep Radtke guessing, potentially get submissions on Radtke, who's not a natural wrestler. He kind of just, you know, on paper has great takedown defense, but didn't grow up as an amateur wrestler, doesn't really have much of a grappling or submission background. You look back through his record, a lot of his wins are by knockout. Has a couple chokes in here, but that was, you know, I guess he does have he has a rear naked choke over Raheem Forrest, and one for his pro debut. But other than that, a lot of decisions in KOs, so I wouldn't consider him really the biggest submission threat. So I'm going to go with Malott in this one. Natural welterweight, more ways to win the fight. I don't think he's going to get caught by a left hand by Charles Radtke. He's shown a decent chin. Was knocked out back in the day. That was 2014, but other than that, his only loss since 2014 was that loss to Neil Magny, and it wasn't really he just kind of got out positioned and couldn't really get out of it. It looked like he was just kind of gassed. I wouldn't say that he necessarily got caught and put out. So I'm gonna go with Malott in this one. I think he gets it done by decision. Thanks.